How are you doing today?
Yeah, really good. How are you? You look like you're floating around the world.
Man, this is one of the most amazing cookbooks in the way that it's almost like you set out to share a story. It's not the typical cookbook. You're sharing something with us.
Absolutely. It's definitely not a typical cookbook. It's there's no actual kind of recipes in there. It's more about a kind of an ethos of getting back into the kitchen and having fun with all these kind of simple everyday recipes that a lot of us have kind of forgotten how to do because there's so much information out there about how to do them that we can all be a little bit confused.
That information sometimes can be too much information, and in your book you show us some shortcuts.
Absolutely. So each rhyme kind of takes a different sort of very, very simple thing. So how to roast a chicken or roast a potato or make a cup of tea or poach an egg. And each rhyme kind of runs through the different ways you can do things and then often looks into the kind of the reason why we do things. If there's a kind of scientific reason behind the kind of egg sort of activity. And then each rhyme ends kind of reassuring the kind of the reader and the cook that whatever they do, if they think it's delicious, it's going to be absolutely fine. There's not a kind of right or a wrong way about how to do things.
You're talking about eggs. I've gone from, I don't crack the eggs anymore. I get it out of a box, and I just feel like that I got tired of getting eggshells in my eggs.
Oh wow! So you're just pouring it in. That's fantastic. And so that's kept in the fridge.
It's kept in the fridge, yeah. And so this way I can take it camping with me. I can do everything with it. And to me, I'm getting more egg because, I mean, it's like sometimes I'll feel guilty when I want. I mean, eggs to me are small here in the South because when I was in Montana, we had double yolked eggs and everything. Those eggs were huge when I was a kid. But for some reason, eggs are so small these days.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because some one recipe will actually give you the kind of the gram weight of the egg, and then the next recipe will just say one egg. But the difference in an egg, depending on where you are, can be kind of 15 grams, and then it will behave differently if it's been in the fridge or how old or fresh it is. So you can either kind of massively geek out on the science,
yep,
or you can just have bigger scrambled eggs. There's sort of both options there for everyone.
Nothing wrong with scrambled eggs. That makes a great sandwich too.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the title of the cookbook, How to Butter Toast. Are we doing it wrong, or is there just so many different ways that we can do it?
Well, the book started because I had 3 kids lined up on my kitchen counter, all not demanding, but kind of requesting that their toast was cut in a different way. And I thought, well, what kind of madness has my life reached that everyone wants their toast kind of either in triangles or crusts off or rectangles? So then that started me looking kind of, is there actually a reason why one would kind of put it into triangles or rectangles or squares? So then I found that, in fact, there is a reason, and the reason that you should have it cut on the diagonal is if you've got something sticky on, like jam, because then when you eat it, you won't get kind of jam on your face, whereas if you've got those scrambled eggs, you want it to be nice kind of sort of robust rectangles so that it's got some structure to sit on. So again, that you can either kind of think there is kind of a reason or a right or a wrong, or if you're a grown-up who wants to cut the crusts off their sandwiches, then that is your God-given right to do so, and no one should tell you that you're right or wrong. But I find it interesting with things like toast, or in England, a cup of tea, that people will kind of have just incredibly stronger opinions about how to make a cup of tea than who they're going to vote for in the next election. It's a fascinating insight into a person, I think.
I was going to bring that up about, everybody has an opinion about their own food. And it seems to be a part of everything that we're doing when it comes to cooking it as well as eating it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're kind of, there's some things I'm relaxed about, and then some things I really care about. So, for example, how to make hummus. I've made lots of hummus in my life, and I think there's some real rules. And then I get really passionate about it because I for having such strong opinions. So yeah, I do. I think it's interesting. You get my husband on martinis or steak, and that is his sort of chosen specialized subject. He could do a full hour on the perfect martini. Whereas for me, if it's cold and alcoholic and 6 o'clock, then I'm happy.
I want couples to buy this book and people who are even dating, because what you offer inside this book is an opportunity to not only explore new dishes, but to challenge each other to create their own stories with it. And this to me is a relationship book.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's also a book that really comes alive when you read it aloud as well, because it's in the form of rhymes, and the rhymes are very, very simple, kind of rhyming couplets. It's kind of A, B, B, C, C, but it's a book that's really kind of made to be sort of read aloud in the kitchen or in the bath or, wherever you're kind of hanging out. So I love the idea of that, of kind of people reading it together.
Who illustrated the book? Because those pictures made me laugh. I felt like a kid just looking at my mother's cookbook.
Yeah, they're so good. It's a guy called Alec Doherty. And yeah, he's doing my next one as well. And I was so happy to find him. He's really, it's kind of these line illustrations, but he can just do so much with a kind of that sort of simple brushstroke. And they're really kind of quirky and fun and cheeky. and yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because they're absolutely brilliant.
You were talking about tea a little bit earlier. I got to be honest with you. I do it in a really weird way. I like my coffee press. I also like to press my tea as well.
Okay.
Because this way, maybe it's a control thing, because I want to be in control of the flavor, and I want it to be a strong tea rather than, I've got to put another bag in there again.
Whereas with some people, if you squish the tea bag on the side of the cup, for some people that's just complete sacrilege, and they'll find it very, very bitter. My guilty secret is that I make a very bad cup of tea. I think because I don't love tea myself, I don't take enough pride in it.
There's a side of me that has a problem with these prepared bags of salad that come with the croutons and the salad dressing and things. I like a nice fresh salad that starts from ground zero.
Yeah. And then you sort of that's definitely the message I'm trying to give my kids, where again there's so much information about kind of processed food, and I think if you're cooking with actual ingredients, I've got a magnet on my fridge that says eat organic food, or what our grandparents used to just call food. Sort of, just start with an onion and a garlic and a carrot and some celery, and and then 20 minutes later you're going to have something delicious you just sort of can't go wrong with.
Yep.
And what's in there.
Yeah, because I'm challenged right now with these salads that come in bags now, where every bit of the ingredients are all stuffed into this bag, and it's like, wow, I thought part of the fun of making a salad was doing it from ground zero.
Yeah. But then I think it's just people that are making different choices about how they spend their time. I remember very early on in family life realizing that my house would basically be a tip, and my kids' clothes would never ever get ironed, because I was spending kind of half a day in the kitchen on a Sunday doing my kind of batch cooking. So yeah. But then it's also a habit, isn't it? If you just get into the habit of doing it, like all these things of exercise, then it becomes part of your day. And again, I think you can go through your whole life just not kind of cracking an egg, or like cooking a chicken yourself, or I remember making some pancakes with our American cousins, and they'd never, they were great eaters and cooks and love food, but they'd never made pancakes from constituent ingredients, and just didn't know that you could get pancakes not from a packet of pre-made things, even though it's a mix of different flours. And so again, it's just habit, isn't it? There's no judgment. It's just kind of what we're used to.
See, that brings back memories of when I was a kid and I first learned how to make French toast. I sat there with my eyes wide open looking at my dad going, eggs? You put eggs in that? What are you talking about?
It's so true. Try a whiskey sour. You put eggs in the whiskey?
So now I'm going to get personal when it comes to your kitchen, in the way that when my wife and I are cooking together in the kitchen, that also includes washing the dishes together with our hands, because to me the conversation continues. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. And actually, well, even like with kids as well, because I think we can bring a lot of expectations to a meal in terms of behavior and conversation and eating, and I actually secretly sometimes find the washing up sort of more relaxed and more fun, and actually that's more the family time when we suddenly got kind of Taylor Swift on, and no one's demanding anything of anyone in terms of sitting up and bringing their best chat, and then actually that's the kind of the fun bit, and then it's a really nice kind of closure to a day or a meal, kind of hanging up that kind of tea towel and that being kind of job done. So yeah, I completely agree. And also I want people to be with me before a meal. I sometimes feel like a kind of short order chef when everyone just arrives with the food. I could do it a bit of kind of hanging out before the food is ready.
Yeah, it to me, part of the fun is thinking about what we're going to prepare in the hours ahead. Then you go to the grocery store or you go to the farmer's market. You get everything together. You come home and then you build it together. It becomes an event for the moment.
I mean, also to like even just going to the market and starting at that point, because I think again with all the kind of access to ingredients, we can just start with the recipe. And then that means that we might not think about what's in season or what's going to be delicious or what's good value. Whereas if you kind of just go to the market with a clear mind and clean sheet of paper, and to start from there, that can be, again, a kind of good way just to make sure your food's going to be delicious.
Yeah. Speaking of the market, when there's you see a bottle of vinaigrette, you're going, oh my God, look at that. It has to be complex to make. But yet in your book, no, you give us a simple way to make it at home.
Absolutely. And again, you just, crush your garlic, get something in there that's going to kind of emulsify it, make it hold, some mustard. Then you need some fat, so that's going to be some olive oil. And then you need something kind of tart, so that's going to be lemon juice or vinegar. And then once you've got that basic structure, then you can play around. You could put in some tarragon or any other spices, or, once you've got that kind of basic structure in place, and there'll be a bit of science in the book about, how that's all holding together. And then once you've got that kind of master recipe, then you can play around.
Wow. Where can people go to find out more about you and show you some love?
Show me some love. I'm always ready to receive love. I'm on Instagram, Tara Wigley, and then I've sort of done lots of books, and then How to Butter Toast is available wherever books are available.
Wow. Well, you've got to come back to this show and talk more with me about food, because I love food and I love to talk with people who love it as well.
That's great to chat.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thanks so much, Arrow. Great to chat.
Thank you.